Hello! Today we are taking a look at the newly revised and expanded editions of the Letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, and no, you are not seeing double. Since I currently have both, I thought I could show you some of the differences between the UK and the US editions. This has become one of my favorite Tolkien books. It's always nice to crack it open and read a few random letters, Tolkien's insights about the world, about his own books, his academic work, his heartfelt letters to his children, the particulars of the publishing process, and so on. This revised edition builds on the original, edited by Humphrey Carpenter in 1981. Here is that edition. This is the first American edition, and you can see how thick the new book is in comparison. While it's here, just let me show you the first edition as well. It's a really nice edition, and I love the design. It is cloth bound and sewn. Now let's go over the differences between the new editions. This one is the UK HarperCollins edition, and this one is the US William Morrow edition. For a start, there is the size of the books. The UK edition is the same as any other HarperCollins standard hardcover. For example, let me just bring a couple others. Here, for example, here's the Fall of Arthur and the Hobbit, and they all line up neatly on the shelf, while the new US edition is slightly shorter, and that bothers some people. I'm luckily not one of those people, but I thought it's worth noting. Thickness remains the same, more or less, but I found that surprising because the paper is slightly different in these editions. The paper used in the UK edition is much more smooth and bright, and the one used in the US edition is slightly pulpy and rough and feels kind of cheap. Both editions share the same size font, as you can see, but the UK one has a much more generous margin, making reading a bit more comfortable. When it comes to design, while the dust jackets remain more or less the same, underneath you can see that the William Morrow edition has a smooth grey paper binding, while the HarperCollins has a textured black paper binding. I prefer the grey, and I also prefer the treatment of the embossed letters on the spine. The American edition just seems more subtle and balanced compared to the British one, but that is just a personal opinion. There is also an embossed William Morrow logo on the front here. The end papers also differ in color, and the UK edition has a silk ribbon bookmark, which is missing from the US edition. Most people seem to prefer the UK edition, and I would too if it wasn't for the final difference. While both books suffer from glued binding, as you can probably see, The US edition opens up much more easily. It can stay open flat and can even be held with one hand, making reading much more comfortable. While the UK edition is much more stiff. As you can see here. It can theoretically stay open, but it stays open in this explosion of paper, and that isn't quite helpful when it comes to reading. Which is, for me personally, pretty important, and therefore I will probably only keep the American edition, despite its shortcomings, but you may have other priorities and different conclusions. Now, I hope this video has been helpful, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.